Now was the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York. And all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarms changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war has smoothed his wrinkled front, and now instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking-glass, I, that am rudely stamped in want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world, scarce half made up, and that so unlamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my own shadow in the sun and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain and hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous, by drunken prophecies, libels, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence again and the king in deadly hate the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and as just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs the murderer shall be. Must not live, I hope, and cannot die till George be packed with post-haste up to heaven. I'll in to urge his hatred towards Clarence with lies well steeled with weighty arguments. And if I fall not to my deep intent, Clarence hath not another day to live, which done, God take King Edward to his mercy, and leave the world for me to bustle in. For then I'll marry Warwick's youngest daughter. What? Though I killed her husband and her father. The readiest way to make the wench amends is to become her husband and her father, the which will I. Not all so much for love as for another secret close intent, by marrying her which I must reach unto. But yet I run before my horse to market. Clarence still breathes. Edward still lives and reigns. When they are gone, then must I count my gains.
Lo, she is one of this confederacy. Now I perceive they have conjoined all three to fashion this false sport in spite of me. Injurious Hermia, most ungrateful maid, have you conspired? Have you with these contrived to bait me with this foul derision? Is all the counsel that we two have shared, the sisters' vows, the hours that we have spent and we have chid the hasty-footed time for parting us, is it all forgot? All school days friendship, childhood innocence. We, Hermia, like two artificial gods, have with our needles created both one flower, sitting on one sampler, sitting on one cushion, both warbling of one song, both in one key, as if our hands, our sides, voices, and minds had been incorporate. So we grow together, like to a double cherry, seeming parted, but yet an union in partition. Two lovely berries molded on one stem. So, with two seeming bodies, but one heart. Two of the first, like coats in heraldry, due but to one, and crowned with one crest. And will you rent our ancient love asunder by joining with men in the scorning of your poor friend? It is not friendly. It is not maidenly. Our sex as well as I may chide you for it, though I alone do feel the injury. Have you not sent Lysander as in scorn to follow me and praise my eyes and face? And made your other love, Demetrius, who even but now did spurn me with his foot, to call me goddess, nymph, divine and rare, precious, celestial. Wherefore speaks he this to her he hates? And wherefore doth Lysander deny your love so rich within his soul, and tender me forsooth affection, but by your setting on, by your consent? What, though I be not so in grace with as you, so hung about with love, so fortunate, but miserable most, to love unloved. This you should pity rather than despise. Aye, do. Persever, counterfeit sad looks, make mouths upon me when I turn my back, wink each at other, hold the sweet jest up. This sport, well carried, shall be chronicled. If you had any pity, grace, or manners, you would not make me such an argument. But fare you well, it was partly my own fault, which death or absence shall soon remedy.
Attention please. Dr. Peter, he's co-locating. Dr. Peter, he's co-locating.
O come, my son, God hath put it in thy mind to take it hence, that thou mightest win the more thy father's love, pleading so wisely in advance of it. Come hither, Harry, sit thou by my bed, and here I think the latest counsel that I shall ever breathe. God knows, my son, by what bypaths and indirect crooked ways I met this crown. And I myself well know how troublesome it sat upon my head. Yet thou, though standest more sure than I could do, thou art not firm enough, since griefs are green. And all my friends, which thou must make thy friends, have but their stings and teeth newly taken out, and by whose fell workings I was first advanced, but whose power I well may lodge a fear to be again displaced, which to avoid I cut them off, and had a purpose now to lead out many unto the Holy Land, lest rest and lying still may make them look too near unto my state. Therefore, my Harry, be it thy course to busy giddy minds with foreign quarrels, that action henceforth out may waste the memory of the former days. More would I. But my lungs are wasted so that strength of speech is utterly denied me. How I came to the crown. Oh God, forgive and grant that it may be with thee in true peace I live. Loud be to God. And even there, I must die. It hath been prophesied to me for many years. I shall not die, but in Jerusalem, which vainly I suppose to be the Holy Land. But bear me to that chamber. I shall lie in that Jerusalem. Shall Harry die?
Gallop apace, ye fiery-footed steeds, towards Phoebus's lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaethon would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. Spread thy close curtain, love-performing night, that runaway's eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms, untalked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites by their own beauties, or if love be blind, it best agrees with night. Come, civil knight, thou sober-suited matron, all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match, played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Hood my unmanned blood, bathing in my cheeks with thy black mantle, till strange love grown bold, think true love acted simple modesty. Come, night, come, Romeo, come thou day and night, for thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow on a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving, black-browed night, give me my Romeo. And when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Oh, I've bought the mansion of a love, but not yet possessed it. And though I am sold, not yet enjoyed. So tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. Oh, here comes my nurse, and she brings news. And every tongue that speaks but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquence.
Once more! Unto the breach, dear friends, once more! Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there is nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pride through the portage of the head, like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it, as fearfully as doth a gallant rock, o'erhang and juddy his confounded face, swilled with the wild and wasteful ocean. Now, set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On! On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war-proof. Fathers, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot! Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry, God for Harry, England, and St. George!
May it please your grace, Antipholus, my husband, whom I made lord of me and all I had at your important letters. This ill day, a most outrageous fit of madness took him, that desperately he hurried through the streets, with him his bondsmen, all as mad as he, doing displeasure to the citizens by rushing in their houses, bearing thence rings, jewels, anything his rage did like. Once did I get him bound and sent him home, whilst to take order for the wrongs I went that here and there his fury had committed. Anon, I wot not by what strong escape he broke from those that had the guard of him, and with his mad assistant and himself, each one with ireful passion, with drawn swords, met with us again and madly bent on us, chased us away, till raising of more aid we came again to bind them. Then they fled into this abbey, whither we pursued them, and here the abbess shuts the gates on us and will not suffer us to fetch him out, nor send him forth that we may bear him hence. Therefore, most gracious Duke, with thy command, let him be brought forth and borne hence for help.
O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? Are all thy conquest glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? Fare thee well. I know not, gentlemen, what you intend. Who else must be let blood? Who else is rank? If I myself. There is no hour so fit as Caesar's death hour, nor no instrument of half that worth as those your swords, made rich with the most noble blood of all this world. I do beseech ye, if you bear me hard, now, whilst your purpled hands do reek and smoke, fulfill your pleasure. Live 1,000 years, I shall not find myself so apt to die. No place will please me so, no mean of death, as here by Caesar, and by you cut off, the choice and master spirit of this age. Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. Thou art the ruins of the noblest man that ever lived in the tide of times. Woe to the hand that shed this costly blood. Over thy wounds. Now do I prophesy, which like dumb mouths do ope their ruby lips, to beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. A curse shall light upon the limbs of men. Domestic fury and fierce civil strife shall cumber all the parts of Italy. Blood and destruction shall be so in use, and dreadful objects so familiar, that mothers shall but smile
when they behold their infants quartered with the hands of war. All pity choked with custom of fell deeds. And Caesar's spirit, raging for revenge, with Ate by his side, come hot from hell, shall in these confines with a monarch's voice cry, havoc, and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth with carrion men groaning for burial.
If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear, and this weak and idle theme, no more yielding but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend, for if you pardon we will mend. For, as I am an honest pock, if we have unearned luck, now to scape the serpent's tongue we will make amends ere long, else the puck a liar call. So, good night unto you all. Give me your hands, if we be friends. And Robin shall restore amends.